Welcome, everyone, to the Final Offer podcast. Today, we're live from Arizona with Linda Okanowski. Linda, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Kevin.
You know what's funny is we're probably 2 miles away in Boston, and we've got to come all the way to Arizona to sit down and talk about this.
It's about damn time.
I know. Well, great job yesterday on the panel. It was very interesting to hear your thoughts on the NAR settlement and how things will move, how things will work moving forward, and the steps that you're taking at your company with the training. And it was interesting to hear all those perspectives. But in terms of the NAR, let's talk about it, right? Like, what are you communicating to your agents right now
About the settlement?
Yes.
Well, I think most brokerages are all waiting for the final answer. What is it really going to be in July? And I'm thinking, do you want to start running a marathon?
I know.
Overnight? Let's get in training now.
Right.
So we've adopted buyer agency agreements a long time ago. I've never thought that we should be accepting the commission of another brokerage if it wasn't good. So we've already trained them to ask to be paid what they're worth.
Yeah.
So we're more ready. We're changing our contracts because I think the unrepresented buyer is going to be hefted up a little bit. We're going to see more of that.
I think we'll see more people coming in direct to listing agents.
I do. And some of them will be savvy and smart and get it done.
Yeah.
And most of them are going to fumble because that's what we're seeing happening already.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, time will tell, right? But I think those buyers that in today's world try and come direct because they think they're savvy already, right? And they're going to come to the agent direct, and they want the savings and they want this.
They come direct for two reasons. One is they think there's a savings. They don't realize that oftentimes the agent is getting paid and there isn't one because either the agent has already negotiated to be paid, paying another agent or themselves for an unrepresented buyer, or they are appealing to the worst part of real estate, which is, I'll help you get both sides of the deal.
Right.
Maybe if that's the case, I'll get the house. And that is unfortunate that some agents will stoop to that.
Yeah. I mean, well, that was part of why we developed Final Offer, right? Like, though I was sick of those same things, and it still goes on, right? And you get into multiple bid scenarios, and it's one area that, I think Final Offer can really clean up and ultimately bring the best result to the seller, right? Because a lot of the times when in that situation, when it happens, the agent presents it as like, oh, here's the buyer and here are your savings and this is the best offer and this is why, right? But the other offers or the other buyers that were out there making offer on the transaction were never given the opportunity to come higher, right?
That is the brilliance of the platform, Kevin. I think as a buyer, you know where you stand.
Right.
You know whether someone's blowing smoke about other offers or not.
Right.
You have a understanding of it can make more informed decisions about it. And I do believe that Final Offer can be great for the seller too, because now people aren't wondering if it's real, and people will, gazump their offer up.
I agree.
It gets cooking.
Yeah, and the other thing that it's it's like like you said, like when you're involved in it, when you lose the house or you're choosing to lose in some ways, right? You walk away for whatever reason, whether you don't see the value, whether it escalates beyond a point that you're comfortable paying for the home, whatever it is, but you know why you lost. Like you don't get a call from the listing and say, "Oh, we went with another offer," and why?
And you can sleep at night. I made a decision.
Exactly.
That house wasn't worth that to me.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
Exactly. Because when we lose, and you're bound to lose, right? It's not like real estate. I always, and maybe I'm too hard on myself at times, but I always think could I have done something differently, right? Could I have done something to combat that? And it's also, you get into those situations where you're submitting an offer and you're like, hey, there's no chance. I know from the start that there's no chance that our offer is getting accepted, right? Either it's we're maybe dealing with an agent that we don't like, or maybe they have direct people, or maybe there's other people in their office that are submitting as well.
Fortunately, there are gatekeepers.
There are.
And there's a segment of the Boston market that are particularly good at being gatekeepers. And when I say that, I mean folks who I think their business model is, how can we put our sellers' property out to the world enough so that we can get a buyer and we can sell it ourselves. And we're not responsive to your request, Kevin, to even get into the property, right? Or maybe you got in and you submitted an offer, but nobody even has the courtesy to get back to you for 48 hours. And they say, oh, Kevin, it's sold, without giving you even a chance to up your offer. I mean, this is the shenanigans and monkey business that go on all the time.
And you're talking about, in some cases, properties are selling for multiple millions of dollars, right? And people aren't given a fair opportunity to go in and buy the home. And it's gone on for too long. But you're right. Like, some people like to be gatekeepers. And I see it just as much in the suburban markets as I do in Boston, right? Like, it's just like...
Absolutely, positively everywhere. I was just tight.
And I feel like, people have also trained themselves to go through this and have convinced themselves that what they're doing is the right thing for the seller,
Oh, you have hit on something so marvelous. It's interesting because there are certainly companies that are totally abusing the coming soon.
Yep.
We belong to the same board, Kevin. And
I know.
In that board, you are not supposed to ever initiate an off-market listing. It has to be initiated by the seller. Matter of fact, even the form that says this is an off-market listing, says seller initiated, because they know it's not good for the seller if you don't create competition.
Right.
And there's agents out there that by just a matter of course, they get an off-market listing agreement signed, and then they put their signs out and put it on certain websites and collect people without putting it out to all of the agents and all of the buyers. And, all of that private exclusive marketing, I think, is absolute bunk. And some of them talk themselves into saying, I got a great deal. Here's the problem, Kevin. A lot of those sellers who've been hoodwinked and lost money on the market, they're writing 5-star reviews for their agent.
I know. They don't know any better, right? They don't know any better. I mean, I had a good friend of mine, and he used an agent that I don't particularly care for. And he's like, oh, she did a great job. And I was like, how do you know that? How do you know that she did a great job, right? And that's the one beauty, or one of the beauties of final offer is, they're in the transaction with you. So it's like, when you talk about buyer agency and telling everybody what your value is and what you're doing for that client, it's the same thing on the list side. And you take for granted some of the things that you do for your listings and for your sellers, right? And with final offer, it's communicated to them so they can see what you're doing in real time. And I think they're appreciative of it. And that brings it to the point we were talking before, and you said, I don't know final offers for every listing.
For every listing. Okay, right. I think that's all fair. We said we didn't discuss this beforehand.
Right.
We decided we'd discuss it
here live.
Because especially now with the NAR settlement, transparency is the new buzzword.
Yeah.
Right? And congratulations on final offer being selected by NAR as part of their REACH program.
Thank you.
And getting some seed money because they want to behind a transparent platform.
Sure.
I think that's amazing. I see a lot of value in final offer in terms of, like I said, building trust with the marketplace. This is what's going on, giving everyone a fair shot. So much about it is really great. Now, I have some agents, and I bet you know them too, who just feel like they're pretty darn special, that they really let everybody in, everyone's going to have a chance. But when they have just that one offer, I mean, last week we had an offer where someone spent $140,000 more over asking.
Mm-hmm.
And my listing agent was astounded that agent never even asked if there was another offer.
Right.
And, of course, didn't bother to tell them. Maybe his fiduciary responsibilities to the seller. And he's like, can that happen with final offer? So I'm going to talk to you about that.
Yeah, I think it can. I mean, look, if you're using... So you're saying they made an outlier bid on this house, right? But, I would argue that, when I talk to sellers about putting a final offer price on the listing, that's exactly how I position it with them. It's, hey, what's the number that the very first buyer that comes through, the very first person that walks through your house, if they want to buy your house, what's the number they would have to pay you, and what are those terms? And so some it's, crazy amount, maybe it's 10, 15, 20% over. but at least it's out there, right? And so I would argue that the person that made that offer, they wanted that house, and they were going to do anything that they had to do it. And I would also argue that if you had told them that the price was $150,000 more on the final offer, they would have hit that too, because they probably would have been more appreciative, because they would have, even when they offered the 140, they weren't sure. They didn't have 100% certainty. They probably had a 90% certainty that it was going to get accepted, right? But there was always the opportunity. There was always a chance that somebody could have been in there just as high as they were.
So I had an opportunity to have a walk with your colleague Jocelyn this morning. And Jocelyn did say, listen, on that one offer only, when that first one comes in, that's when you have a chance to say, well, while no one else is interested right now, if you want to get to closing on this property, this is the number you have to meet. So I think agents learning how to think differently about their negotiations.
Totally. Well, this is actual negotiation, right? It's not collecting offers. It's negotiating in real time, right? Because there's so many things. I mean, the complexities and the level of sophistication in the platform when you're negotiating and you know what you're doing is, it's unparalleled. It's better than the way we're doing it today. And sometimes, we've had that one offer and we've countered it two different ways. And so in some cases, you are doing it where final offer is your leverage to get the buyer to go higher, so that's the beauty of it.
I can absolutely concede that could happen. I mean, I do understand, in the hands of the right people who can negotiate.
Totally. They would have to know what they're doing.
So here's a fun fact for you, a little fly around here. Here is a fun fact for you, and maybe something you're already familiar with, but I think that dovetails nicely with final offer. Are you familiar with the Bright MLS studies on and off market?
No.
Okay. So Bright MLS is one of the largest MLSs in the country. It's in, I think, 6 states in Washington, D.C., from New Jersey to West Virginia, all along the coast, East Coast there. And they've done remarkable studies of houses at every level, like all houses that sold, houses that, luxury houses versus affordable housing, big houses versus small houses.
Sure.
And what they came up with in their 2022 study was that the average home that is fully marketed, that has everybody's eyeballs on it, sells for 13% more than off-market sales. And it is an incredible study. And I think final offer kind of works into that, because it's kind of guaranteeing that absolute maximum full exposure.
We have a study that I will share with you that shows unquestionably in a tight market that full open transparency, an open bid process is better than sealed bids. That leads to higher pricing and cleaner offers, unquestionably. And there are other markets, all over the world that sell this way already. And, we're trying to ride the coattails of that a little bit too and bring it here, but it's change, right? And that's the hard part, is trying to get people that have been in the business for 20 plus years to open their minds and change the way they're doing business, but I think the timing of everything that's going on right now is great for us. And if you're going to make a change, why not make a full, changing the conversation that you're having, add final offer in as an added benefit to your client base,
I know that Tim, your founder, was talking about auction theory.
Yeah.
And that I'm assuming the stats that you have are based in this auction theory.
Based on auction,
How it,
But it's open bidding, like where people are knowing what they're bidding. And, a lot of them are done in an auction where they're actually at the property. But, ours, I think, allows anybody to bid, right? Because you can do it on the platform. You just do it on the platform. You do it online. So
it dovetails into even what our listing consultation is with our sellers. It's like, never be an auction of one. Don't take it off market. Don't sell it to one buyer. Make sure you get full exposure. It's worth a little bit of extra work.
And I think it's there too, like, with all of these things, and, will the seller contribute towards closing costs, like that conversation that's happening? I would argue that it doesn't matter, right? It's all about what is the net number to the seller.
Always.
And so if you're using the platform and you have someone that's asking for 2%, someone's asking for 3%, someone's asking for 0.5%,
what's the bottom line?
it calculates it out, right?
Yeah.
And that's how final offer will lead to the best results, right? And also, not punish the agent that's charging a full commission, right? But it's going to give them the opportunity to know what they're competing against and allow them to arm their consumer with the information that they need to get the home.
Now I have a question for you.
Yes.
So I know as of today, we're doing this in April, that commission can be posted. It can be part of the terms of an offer. What is final offer legal team saying about how that's going to be going forward?
So I don't think we can do it because we have an IDX feed from MLS. And so any feed from MLS, you can't disclose whether or not the seller's willing.
So in other words, if I go into MLS, I can click into final offer, because you can direct people to final offer. You just can't click into final offer.
Right. But now if you go to final offer, like for instance, like if you go to final offer in Massachusetts, it's not just the listings that are on final offer. It's all of the listings in Massachusetts. So it's a portal.
Oh, so you're taking the whole.
Just exactly. So that people can get a full picture of the marketplace. And then I think it will help us prove your point, right? That, or somewhat of your point, where we can say, hey, look, final offer homes are selling 5% higher than homes are being sold the traditional way.
Is that the stat, 5%?
We don't have the stat yet.
Okay.
In Massachusetts, we need some more data points, right? But we were, last year with the homes that I sold, we were, I think, at 108% of ask, so we didn't have anything.
That's way higher than the average market. Yes, I do know that.
Yeah,
I follow.
We ended, a lot of ours ended at the committed price, which is MLS list price, right? And so even in that scenario, when it goes through and you only have one offer, the seller can see that everyone got an alert. So all of the other people that had come through the home,
everybody had
alert, and that's the market price.
Isn't that one of the biggest complaints agents have against other agents? Is I feel like I didn't have a chance.
Yeah,
they never came back to me.
Exactly.
My people would have gone up.
Well, yeah, and sometimes you don't know, right? If you have a hot property that's going to sell after a weekend open house, like that's it. You don't have the opportunity to talk to everyone that's there, engage every level of interest, and final offer just ensures that those people are getting notified as well.
So here's a story, suburban story.
Yeah.
I think it was out in the Newton area. I had an agent who had an offer on a property, couldn't hear back, didn't hear back, writing, texting, nothing. Finally, the agent calls back 2 days later and says, Dan, we've accepted an offer. And he said, we'd come up.
Yeah.
No, I'm on my way over to get it signed. My seller isn't interested if you come up. Can you imagine that? Speaking on behalf of the seller, we don't offer money. That's exactly what we're fighting, and what I think final offer will.
Yeah, it'll eliminate that type of behavior.
Right.
I mean, but the fact, you talk about somebody doing it old school. You said that the woman was driving over to get the thing signed, right? So it's like, we're not even at DocuSign yet, right? So trying to get her onto the final offer platform, we have our work cut out for us, right? Well, listen, thank you so much. I know you're busy here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come and sit down today.
Thank you, Kevin. Right. Pleasure. Bye-bye.
We'll talk to you. Bye-bye.